begin, one like what I mean, if you take 500 rupees, what does it mean to each one of us? Does it mean one pizza that we can order, or a film ticket that we can get? But then what if that 500 means 24 years of your life? That just a 500 rupees can take away 24 years of your life, not for just an individual, but for a family. So one of my recent project that I've been working on, I met this family. They had taken a loan of 500 rupees, and for 24 years they were kept as bonded laborers. And this whole experience, when I met them and I was interviewing them, and I spent a whole day with the whole family. Now they are rescued, they have been rehabilitated. And when I met them and I heard their story, and it doesn't make sense. It doesn't fit in any kind of narrative or the information that we are given about the whole world. It's almost as if it's out of some fiction book, that for 500 rupees, a family of five, that more than 2 decades of their lives have been lost. So these are the experiences, I mean, that's what the whole, I think, interesting thing about what I do, trying to meet real people and capture their stories and also put them somewhere, which will help them in some ways. That I think that is whole crux of some of the work that I do. Then I think briefly touching upon, I wanted to also talk about, like, I started off my career as a school teacher. I used to teach science to kids, and that was my first job. Then I ended up as a filmmaker for a period of time by doing different kind of things. I think I did not stick to any job more than a year. And my friends who are close to me, they very well know that I think what drives me, if you ask me, is that, like, I always look for this sense that I'm doing something, So wherever that sense has been missing, and that makes me very restless. So I kept shifting jobs from school teacher to a government servant for a while, then took up filmmaking course and learned it, then did a job in Bangalore with a very good reputed organization. It was too good for a year. Then I think later on, one of my most intense experience in my career has been when I shifted to Cairo to start a liberal arts college with a couple of friends that I had met. And this was a time also where the dictatorship had started, the military rule had started, and the first few months were so intense. I think all of us, even whenever we talk now, we go back to that time. For the first 2-3 months, we were not able to step out of the house after 6 o'clock. But still, I think it was an everyday uncertainty for us when we were setting up this liberal arts college in the year 2013-14. But I think we set up, and all of us were, another interesting fact about this whole venture was that all of us were under 30 then. And we set up this college, and which is still running now. And also, I think when you go through those intense experiences, I think they make you much better, and they prepare you for a lot of things about, which will come in future, and or all the things that might come on your way as you proceed. This film that we made on brick kiln, I think this has been one of the most risky projects that we did, because we had to shoot in real brick kilns where the level of violence is insane. To tell you an example, just before we landed to shoot for this documentary, one of the laborers' hand were cut off because he asked for his pay, and this was in Punjab. So now I think we had this as a team, we couldn't completely shoot. So then I had to take a call that some of the shoots I would have to do. And if you want to really shoot, then you have to, all these brick kilns are basically have like a very safe compound where they are guarded by the security, or there's some goons who guard these places. And we need to, so if you really want to get the footage, then you'll have to enter. Then we were working with one of the local NGO in Punjab, which works on brick kiln bonded labor system. So one of the strategies we discussed and kind of formulated was that there will be two employees from the NGO who take me to these brick kilns and introduce me as a photographer who has come from Bombay, and who has come to document the brick making process. And that's what I would, if they agree and they let me inside the brick kiln, I'll go there, and within 5-10 minutes, what I can shoot, I capture that and come out. And if something goes wrong, they'll be ready with the vehicle. Then I will have to somehow manage to get out, and we go from there. And there were places where the security or the people who were guarding those places were very suspicious. They did not let us in. There were some places where they let me in for a few minutes, and after that they were asking questions, and we had to leave. So that's how that film kind of happened. That film almost took more than a year to complete from the time we started filming it. But I think that risk was worth all the, things that it brought us. Like in turn, when we made the film was also shared with the government. Many officers who are supposed to take action on those issues of bonded labor. So that is one of the best thing to come out. Also the recognition it got, the film got, I think that made all the risk worth it. The whole point for me is, I think if you take risk to some extent, I think that's where I think your payback will be worth it. For me, I think that has defined my whole career. Where you keep taking risks of different various levels. And I was also talking about these experiences, very intense experiences and real people that we meet as part of this filmmaking. We were doing this film on arsenic and fluoride contamination of groundwater that is very widespread in India. And we met this one family in Andhra Pradesh where the family has 3 daughters. All of them are, they are suffering from skeletal fluorosis. Basically, your skeletal bones, they start bending as you start growing up. And all the 3 daughters, they had different level of skeletal fluorosis. With elder one, so basically now they are all at different stages of the skeletal fluorosis, where all the 3 of them are they cannot move. Basically, all their bones have bent so much to the extent that the mother has to take care. All the three of her children. The eldest was 26 years old, and the youngest was 12 years old. And we were there in their village for a day, and when we were talking, we spoke to all of them, and the mother, when the mother was speaking, she was, as much as she was sad for the children as well, she had this sadness for herself, as if her life is tied to these 3 children. She cannot do anything apart from taking care of them. And I think when she opened up, I think, and for us, I think most of the time when we are in these shoots, it is very difficult not to be affected by what the people share. And most of these stories are extremely personal and very intense. And also, I think we also have to be very careful when we are filming with them, that we do not border on a whole space of showing sympathy. That would be doing a disservice to the whole process. Then looking back, I think then we made the film. The film was shared with them. They liked the film. I think that was, for us as a team, it was very interesting. Then we went. In the same project, we went to this one particular village in Bihar, where the groundwater contamination of arsenic was so intense. We did not come across one single house in that village which did not have cancer. They did not have a cancer patient. Someone or the other was like, every household that we went in that particular village had cancer. And some of the diseases they had because of this contaminated water that they had consumed were visually so intense even to look at. But again, that's a reality. That's not some out of fiction thing that we just read. I mean, that's a blessing, also kind of a burden of this work that we do of documentary filmmaking. You end up in these realities that are so far-fetched from your own reality, but also you have to make sure that you respect the people that who their pains and their struggles, and also try to do that a little bit by capturing their stories. And it, I mean, one of my friend, he was telling, it's better that these stories are out than not being told at all. I think I would say that is the least one can do, perhaps, in the whole process. Then I remember another one of the projects that we are currently working on, for which we worked for almost for a year to even to start this project. We are doing this project on Holocaust survivors, and we filmed in Europe for almost 2 months. And we met a couple of survivors who have spent time in concentration camps, and who were very young at that time. And one of the survivors we met was 98-year-old woman in Zagreb, Croatia. And she was like, and most of them, I think the youngest was a 76-year-old. And all of them were so full of life, having gone through so much pain in their life. Like, we cannot even begin to imagine the kind of things that have happened in concentration camps. Having gone through such intense pains and tragedies in their life, now, when we met them, they were so full of life. And one particular instance, I think the other flip side of this documentary filmmaking is, I think, when we meet survivors, when we meet people who have gone through a lot, when they have to tell their story to us, they have to relive it again. That is, I think, something, the price of the whole process, and that is very difficult also for them more than anybody else. So this 98-year-old survivor, when she started sharing her story, how her whole family was killed right in front of her. And as she started narrating her story, there was one point where it became very difficult for her to breathe, simply because she was reliving that pain that she was sharing with us. And we had to stop the filming, and we had to make sure that she's comfortable. And we continued the shoot only after some time, taking a very long break where she was comfortable to share again. So there were, these kind of, and also, again, I will go back to some of the projects that we did. There's one research project we were doing where we were meeting children of HIV affected people, and also we were interviewing the HIV affected persons as well. So one of them, and these interviews were this for research, and we are not filming. It's basically one-to-one conversation, and you audio record, keeping in all the privacy thing. So there was this one woman who had gone through so much, she had gone through child marriage. Then her husband had got HIV, and she came to know about that her husband had HIV through one of the local health staff, that's a primary health center. She tried to be away from him so that she does not get HIV. Then you do have these local councils or family councils or village councils. They came together. They forced her to go to him. She got HIV. Then she was carrying a baby, and she tried to abort the baby because she knew that her husband had got HIV and she didn't want to have a baby. She kept sharing her experiences. I think that the whole conversation was supposed to be around 40 minutes, and this went on for, I think, almost 2 hours, near 3 hours, 2 hours 45 minutes or something. And as a researcher, I was there. I was just like, I couldn't. You don't know what to make of it. You just don't know what to make of it. There was as if the series of intense, unfortunate things were just unfolding right in front of you. And the only thing you are there, you just listen to them, make sure that they are feeling comfortable in sharing their stories. So that is one other, it's, whenever I think of it, it makes me realize, how, that's why I said in the beginning, I don't want to share struggles, it makes all the things that we have seen, that kind of gives a perspective to our own life in terms of where we are, where we stand, and all those things. For me, I think the whole process of being a teacher, then being in corporate, then being in government sector, then being in NGO sector, then also now doing filmmaking through my own company. It comes down to one simple idea which is very close to me. Like they say in animal kingdom, it is all about who kills who, like which animal kills who, which other animal. But I think among humans, I think it comes down to very simple idea: who defines who. And if I get to define who I am through my work, through my ideas, with what I do, I think it makes any journey worth it. Thank you so much.